How do we deal with difficult conversations or conflicts?
I lose control, right? Very aggressive. Like, hey, you, why you like that?
It actually reminds me of the fight we had.
Then you keep asking me whether I'm okay, and it's like, huh? I'm so confused and frustrated.
Let's also acknowledge that you did treat me like shit.
Alright, so this morning, right, I was looking at my text at 8 a.m, right, and at 3:30 a.m, Raja sends me 2 texts saying, dude, are you seeing what's going on in the US government right now? I can't sleep, like, reading this shit. And I was like, I missed it in real time. And so I looked it up, right, and apparently these 2 billionaires show that you can have everything in life but still be passive-aggressive teenagers. Of course, talking about Donald Trump and Elon Musk getting in a feud. They are now officially frenemies. They were once working together, but now, right, this is a sequence of events, okay? Elon Musk left, and then everyone's like, ooh, what's the story behind this?
No, when he left, right, it was very peaceful. It was like, shake hand, he give him a golden key. It's like, wait, Elon has been a very good part. Elon is the billions and billions. Yeah, he was very friendly. And then it all went to shit. The first Yaoi breakup of Pride Month.
What's a Yaoi?
Yaoi is like a boiler of it.
So Elon Musk publicly criticized Donald Trump's new bill. He called it one big beautiful bill. That was terrible. That's not bad. Thank you. He called it a disgusting abomination because of how much government spending it will take. He was Doge, right? He was government efficiency. He go and slash all these like government spending, and then now one big bill is going to be a very expensive thing. So he said, abomination. Trump said, whoa, he was very disappointed by Musk's comments. And he said the easiest way to save money is to take away all the government contracts that he gives SpaceX. Then Elon Musk offended, obviously. So then he said, okay, then I just decommissioned the Dragon spacecraft, which is the only vehicle that astronauts have to go to the International Space Station. What the Like, that was a big escalation of an ego chell.
In the morning at like 10 o'clock, some random person on Twitter like replied Elon. He said, you guys should stop fighting. You guys should just talk it out. Take a step back. This person had like 100 followers is nobody. Then Elon replied him and said, okay, I won't decommission the spacecraft anymore. This is... I'm sorry. This is who... These are the people running the world right now. Their tension was diffused by one random guy going, hey, don't fight.
The other thing that a lot of people are looking forward to for more drama is that Elon Musk suggested there's some evidence of Trump and Epstein being more cozy than Trump has let on.
No, he did not suggest. He said that Trump was on Epstein Island and that's why the files is not released.
The exact tweet wording was, the reason why it's not declassified is because he is in the files.
Yeah.
And people in the files are people who, went over.
What I think started this whole thing, right? It's just that, okay, if you disagree, then okay, they probably had a fight about it, they will agree to disagree, then they just, okay. But what I think broke the camel's back is when a reporter asked Trump in the White House, so why would he leave? And kind of put him on the spot of feeling abandoned by his most powerful ally. And that forced Trump to come out with a statement that makes himself look good because he has to helm the big seat. Yeah.
The unfortunate truth here is that both of the people involved in this are highly emotional people. They have been well known, well documented to have many times said things and done things based on emotional responses. Trump has very famously had a reputation for, even his first term, the last person to talk to him is the person to whom he would give credence to the most. So people always tried to be the last advisor in the room,
right,
to try and sway him at the very end. And Elon was always that last guy until this very recently, the end of the Doge warrant,
right,
which, he had to leave at the end of May. And obviously he didn't agree with the budget bill. And he was no longer the last person there to sway him.
So I think what was interesting to me was the level of escalation, because these are 2 people who have worked together. Now they have 1 week of somewhat of a conflict, but it ended, at least for now, with Elon Musk saying that the Epstein thing, which to me is something you say you cannot take back already.
Yeah.
And it completely now, right, like severed ties, like any possibility of a reunion, I think very, very difficult. Where I wanted to bring this to make it a little bit more, I guess, relatable to the audience was like, I'm sure we have situations in which we wanted to, we may have said things in situations like that, and then the next day we have to see that person. Like conflicts where you cannot like walk away from, right? Either it's work because you have to take like 1-2 months of like notice, you cannot just like quit work and don't show up. Or like with family, right? We have all these conflicts. Like how do we deal with difficult conversations or conflicts? Especially when you want to have that last word and say something and know that shit, actually if I say it right, it's going to ruin everything.
I'm still thinking, but it immediately reminds me of an episode from Seinfeld where George Costanza, during a board meeting, right, with the towel down there, right, he raged, right? Then he said, I quit! Then he stormed out of the office. Then he realized that he quit, but he really need the job. So he devised a plan, right? Then the next day, right, he come back, he just pretend. He just come, he joined the meeting, then, hey, what's up? Hey! Hey, what you mean you quit last week, right? Hey, Oh, it was a joke lah, guys. It was a joke. Then everybody just get out.
I think maybe a more relatable situation is like you're in your friend group chat and then you just really disagree with something and so then you leave the chat and then it's so awkward. Like, how do you find yourself to come back? Because there have been definitely instances in which I feel like the only way I can make a stand right now is I leave the chat. But I know, like, wait a minute, if I do, right, I'm never coming back to this chat. Like, how? How do you even broach the topic?
You must know that you have an ally inside the chat that will just like parachute you back.
Yeah. And like to leave, okay lah, maybe you can say, hey guys, just joking lah. But then if no one adds you, right, and it's been a couple of days, right, you're done for. Yeah.
Okay, when this thing happened, right, what crossed my mind was actually this child psychologist that was sharing about, especially when your children act out at you, they are trying to make you feel what you made them feel. So it's not about the fact that it's tit for tat. Or you slap me, I slap you back. It's sometimes they would say like, I hate you, you do nothing for me. They are trying to make you feel useless because you make them feel unworthy. You make them feel like there's no purpose. Like, why do I have you? You know, like sometimes parents say, I give birth to you for nothing. You are just a bunch of work. So that makes them feel worthless. Their act out is not trying to like just cry and whatnot, but they give you something that may not make sense to you in a sense whereby you are dead to me. You are nothing to me as a mother. But what they are trying to do is to make you feel how you make them feel. It actually reminds me of the fight we had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of at which point do we say something that we just can't take it back anymore.
Wait, what happened?
So I'm going to try and go through what happened. But this is my account. In our resolution, we found out that he has a different account and that's what caused some of this, okay? So basically, right, what happened was that he was on leave. And so one of our newer colleagues, right, asked us to help vet something for submission to client. So I was doing something else, so I asked them to help me and then say, okay, got you. But he had like 30 minutes left to do it.
It's due at 6 p.m. John told me at 5:50.
Yeah, and so basically what in my head was very clear. I sent him the link to the draft, look at the draft, edit the draft, send the draft. So I sent it to him, I said like, okay, can you help me JiaJia this new colleague? Then over-explain because I want her to learn. He said, okay, got you. So therein lies our first miscomm. He thought I meant to over-explain to the client. And in my head was that open the script, start working on the script, or walk over and then tell her what you want her to change with the script. That was what is the too reasonable outcome in my head. Instead, I saw him working on a deck, which I don't know what the deck was about. But in my way, I was like hey, sorry, you're working on it already, right? Then he's like I got it. So I just waited 5-10 minutes. Then I say like, hey dude, you're on it already or not? And then he said, there, I'm making a deck. Then he said, because I saw the script that our colleague made, it was almost there. It's fine. So I'm making a deck to pad it. So in my head, right, okay lah, I personally look at the script and I feel like it's not up to par. So I wanted to get the script up to par before I leave. So because in my head, I keep picking over his screen, right? He was still working on the deck. So to my head, you haven't looked at the script yet. So I want to get the script 80% so you can get into 100 because I gotta go at 6. So far, my account of story, I did nothing wrong lah. Where I snapped, right, was that when he realized that I kept questioning what the heck he's doing, and we realized there's a miscomm, I thought that once we realized there's a miscomm, we're just gonna laugh about it. In my expectation, that's how it played out. It's like, oh, you meant over-explain to her, not the client. I thought then we were just gonna, wasted time, yeah. Then when we go and do it now. Yeah, that was in my head, that's how it's gonna play out. It didn't play out like that, right? You want to say how it played out?
So exactly that, except that in my point of view, so John tells me I got this thing to do. I start looking at the script. I read it through. I feel like it's 50% there. I need to do the other 50%, but I know exactly how to sell this. I've got another similar deck that I've already done for a different client. This is going to be the template. Everybody's going to end up using this. Like, I'm so confident this deck is going to sell it. So, okay, I work on the deck. Now, I'm looking at the script and I'm going to take what I need already. But I see it still being worked on and I hear John talking to our new colleague. So I'm like, you asked me to take over. Why are you still on this? You said you were busy, ma. So like, okay, like, never mind. So it's 5:45 already. I got 15 minutes left. Like, when can I take over the script? So I decide, okay, you know what? I'm going to buy you some time since you want to work on this. I'm going to work on the deck. So I'm working on the deck and then he comes over and says, hey, are you working on this or not? Then I was like, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm waiting for you to finish the script because I'm trying to take over and finish the other 50%. I see the script still being worked on and I still hear John discussing and I'm like, when? Like, it's 5:55. When are you going to let me take over? So then, like, there's already a miscomm here. To me, it's not so much about trust. It's more of like, you asked me to take over, but then you're still working on it. So then there's a frustration. And then once he says, okay, but I told you to over-explain to the new colleague. Then I was like, okay. I thought to the client, right? So then, okay lah, like, let me take over. Like, I'm a bit frustrated, but to me, I cannot just suddenly cool down.
You see, the difference is that I can.
But to me, I was frustrated because this was like half an hour of me like in the zone, waiting for something to be done. But like, you keep working on it and then you keep asking me whether I'm working on it. I was like, I'm so confused and frustrated. When he finally said, okay, it's a miscomm, to me it's like, okay, like, can I not take over now? And then to him, it's like he still wants to explain that it's a miscomm. So to me, it's like we are wasting so much time here. It's like 6:15 at this point. Why are we still talking about this? Like, let me get this over and done with. Whereas to him, it's like it felt like, okay, why am I being combative now? Because I'm basically being more and more frustrated at this point. That's where when the miscom became known, John was cool, but then I became like still frustrated essentially lah. Yeah.
I understand it's frustrated. It's just like bro, I don't want you to be frustrated at me, so I just want to explain why. Right? There was a fighting word that he said. You want me to stop working on this? And then from my account, and this is where we had a differing account, right? I saw him close the slide in front of me. So to me, it's like you are threatening to stop work. That was when I snapped. So I said, so you threaten me.
Right.
Yeah. And then I said, never mind. I'll do it then. Then he uttered under his breath like, this waste my f***ing time. I mean, then he just stand up and walk. That is what raged me.
Yeah.
Not everything that happened. I understand he was frustrated because I kept checking in and then a miscom, blah, blah, blah. That was okay. That part at the ending was what made a guy that cannot easily get pissed off get pissed off. In his account,
It's completely different, by the way. Like, so when I came back to work the next day, or like I think it was Friday, I came back on Tuesday, the tab was still open. Like, it was still, the deck was still there,
Yeah.
the script was still there. So in my head, right, like everything was always almost going to be done already. Like, I even thought about the parts that I wanted to rewrite for the script. I was just waiting for his part to be done.
Yeah.
So like, he thought I closed it. So he said like, you go home, I'll take over. So to me, it's like, oh, okay lor. Then to me, it was like, this was a f***ing waste of time because I just spent 40 minutes on this and now you want to take over. This is weird, but okay lor.
Yeah.
So then I walked away.
Hearing the story to me is like, do you want to see the work get done?
no, I don't care. The last thing I want to do is to pay you and then do your job for you. Let's be very clear, everybody. I don't want to pay and do your job, okay? So Dan and I have a very weird dynamic. In a sense whereby I acknowledge that Dan built the company with me from the ground up. So I've always seen him as part of that founding team. And I always feel like we cannot have that dynamic. Yet there was one big thing that almost rocked our friendship like 4 or 5 years ago, right? Where I was thinking, actually, we might part ways within the company. It could be I leave or it could be Dan leave. And then that one, right, cemented like a thing in me of like, oh my God, I will always be the last man standing. Like no matter what happens to this company, right, I must always just be able to build back. That formed the cornerstone of how when we collide, right, that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
For Dan, right, because of the special relationship we have building everything together, I also feel like he feels like he owns this company also to an extent. He has a stake in it, emotional stake in it.
Okay.
And so it's very difficult for us to navigate, right, when one of us needs to make a certain call or when we are in a certain lock. You know, where I'm very
The scissoring lock.
When we scissor.
Yeah, okay,
when we
cool. Yeah,
scissor.
sure.
No, we don't do it every day. It's like Monday, Tuesdays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why we have the work from home day. Okay.
And that's why the whole office smells like fun.
I know your word selection is very careful.
It was very intentional.
Having known each other for nearly a decade, it's more of at this point you should know each other and whether you're trying to hurt with your words. Or is it just they're saying something and I know there's no malice intended there. Yeah.
For me, at least to my knowledge, right, I will never choose hurtful words with Dan. I'll tell you why very pragmatically. If I die, the person that I think can do most of what I do is Dan. In fact, Dan can do things for the company that I have actually let go and I'm not sure exactly how to do it anymore. So I'm not even talking about friendship here, right? And Dan is being groomed for succession. There is no way I want him to ever feel undermined, betrayed, unbacked, unsupported by me. So I would never knowingly use any fighting, hurtful words with Dan. From Dan's point of view, it's between deal with John or I go and find another job. That is his reality, ma. Because he can only believe me when I say I trust you lah, right? And so from him is I didn't need to decide. My back is against the wall. I either if I want to stay here, I push back or I eat shit.
But it's not that he's saying it with malice.
No. So that's the thing. So I think the only understanding is that I would like to clear up is that I think to John's point of view is that I am intentional with my words, but it also feels that if I do say something hurtful, I purposely said it. For me, it's not the case.
Right.
Because I think he gives me too much credit on that. Like you see me flustered, I do run out of words to say and I just say some things that don't make sense. My biggest problem, right? My biggest problem is that when I get somewhat emotional, angry or sad, right? My voice cracks up and it's embarrassing. No, it just sounds like
I had that in primary school.
why is that embarrassing? Yeah, no, in primary school it's okay. But when you're in a work setting, right, and you're about to throw one damn solid line, right, again without malice, and then you crack, right? Wow.
If you're the kind of person where when you get angry, you cry.
Yeah.
I think that's damn shit. I think that's one of the living life on hard mode.
That's me. And then I was like,
Oh my God.
then in my mind, like, then I'm saying things right, but it's like,
We worked together for 8 years. Actually, the average is once every 2 years actually.
It's not bad. I think there's a healthy amount of conflict. And I also like to think that we move on from it very quickly. And in the end of the day, it was just a miscom. And for John, like he said, he can cool down after realizing it's a miscom. For me, I can't. I'm still in that state.
I'm very happy with our fights, man.
Same. Yeah.
And every time we go into conflict, which we are confident, I think we walk into conflict knowing we will resolve. I think that's why
absolutely. No, so okay, I think that was one example of an unequal relationship, right? In that sense, or maybe like a situation where you can't go off because like, I'm not gonna quit anytime soon, right? Maybe
right.
not
I mean, hope not lah.
Was there a situation for you guys like maybe like with parents or like with like certain situations with like siblings or whatnot where you guys just you can't leave your family in that sense?
I feel like for me, the struggle is that I was brought up in an avoidant household.
Wow, the fact that you identified that though.
And I think when we talk about all this, right, it has a lot to do with conflict. How you bring up conflict or how conflict begins, and then also how you resolve conflict, right? So because I'm a highly avoidant person, which I'm trying to correct, the problems
would we classify him as a highly avoidant person?
I was surprised on both fronts.
And
Like,
if by trying to fix it, you mean you're going for your MMA shit?
I tell you, those fellas are saving our life. You know, he will beat us.
yeah.
He could beat someone.
Thanks to your sparring partner.
it's better than talking about emotions, you know?
Wait, at what point do you identify that you're avoidant and why are you trying to fix it?
So like I keep thinking that I'm addressing like the real problems in my life. But the truth of the matter is that I'm just doing all this to distract myself from what's really going on.
Right.
Yeah, like the real hard
Right.
stuff.
Oh, that kind of avoidance.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
So it's quite rabak. Then after I identify already, right, with a shit ton of therapy, right, then I start to see all the patterns like in my household. Lah. I'll give you an example, right. I think when I was like 16 or 17 or some shit, right, I got into an argument with my brother. Basically, we stopped talking for like 4 years and we live in the
That's damn long.
and we stopped talking. And we live in the same room. And we just did not talk to each other.
No heart-to-heart talk or like just no...
Nothing. This person is a ghost. I don't see
So even
this
if he's
person.
beside the switch, you want him to off the light, you will stand up
No.
and go off the light.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Nothing. And neither of us address it. And the whole family also, right, doesn't address it. Nobody know how to address this or resolve it. Then we also never learn. Then it just... Years later, when we both grow up a bit more already, then we finally somehow slowly ease into it. Then now we have like a very, very good relationship.
How did it start?
Suddenly one day, I think I can't remember who.
He was the bigger man.
But maybe lah. Yeah lah, probably lah.
Yeah lah.
Yeah. Then he just say something. Then after that, like, hey, oh, now you see me again. Ah. Then after that, like, okay lah. Then I reply a bit. Then slowly over like years, right? Then the relationship
started
built
with
back.
like 3 words a day that kind of slowly built up.
Yeah, but it's horrible because we just don't know how to talk about things. As I go and research into this, right, then I realized that actually a lot of people are struggling with this. So like if you have problems with like your family or your relationships and all that kind of stuff, right? But you just don't know how to bring it up in a healthy way because you are afraid like maybe you disappoint the person or you fail the person or you make a mistake and you don't want to really be able to address it because you don't trust the person to continue to see you the same way or you know that kind of shit.
I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
When I'm hurt also, I like don't, like, I'm scared to bring it up because right, I'm afraid that when the emotions start coming out, right, I will say something, I will regret, I cannot take back. And it's because I've confronted the issue.
But what if you solved it by bringing it up?
No,
As in,
that's
why
the
you
thing.
think worst case,
At
not
the-
best case?
At the end of the day, the solution is always going to be to talk it out and fix it. But in my rational mind, I know that. But my emotional mind is like, no. If you talk, you will express your hurt. I will share it, and I may say something that will then hurt the other person so much
Right.
that we break this like friendship, this relationship
So
because
it's
of
more
that.
of like you're afraid of what emotional you might say if the conversation actually
Yeah.
takes place.
Have any of you experienced this, right? Where you are finally an adult, you kind of understand things already. You realize that there is a certain thing that you want to confront your parent about.
Ooh.
Have.
Yeah, and then how does that play out? Because the first time I tried to confront parent about something that I was very upset about, right? Wow, complete shit show.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know from you guys.
I wanted to confront my dad on something that I've been feeling since I was a child because of the whole divorce thing. So I realized like when I was an adult, I feel like the whole family never addressed it to him. And I feel like I wanted to say it to him because I'm the kind of person who would just keep it inside me, right? Until I cannot tahan. But I feel like I'm at the tipping point already. So I wrote like a full long letter on my phone. And I wanted to send it to him and confront him already, right? But then the next day, it was when he suddenly called me and asked for like a family meeting. And we don't have family meetings because he and my mom don't meet.
Right.
And then I was like, what is this? I was with John Paul actually. We were in a cab and we were going to see a movie. Then I remember, even in that situation, right? I remember I was like, but I already promised him to go see movie. Then I said, but I need to see the movie with you. Then you woke me up. You say, just go. Like, cause we were in a cab. Then you say, like, just go.
doesn't remember.
Look, this kind of values we hire in this company, okay? This kind of human beings,
But he doesn't remember it.
No, even better.
effortlessly good human.
Double the popcorn!
Anyway, I don't know. I was so conflicted. It's like, I'm so ready to confront. I literally got the ammo ready. Yeah. But in the moment of the actually creating that meeting, right, I was scared. And then is when he woke me up and said, just leave the cab
As in,
now.
have you sent the message yet?
No, I was keeping it in my
okay.
phone. Like, I want to send it to him. Like, I was prepared like the next day to send.
Right.
And so when I went to the meeting, right, I realized it was the first time like my whole family talked together. My dad started with an apology and then he basically like address like all the hurt and whatever knots that he caused the family, for example. Like in his opinion, you need to know like my dad and mom don't talk, man. Like every time they talk is like a fight. And I think because maybe my mom was sick also, I felt like what a time, right? That before she left the world, they kind of patched things up. When they were talking, right, I was kind of like zoning out because like in my phone, right, I literally have like the ammo ready to go, right? But I feel like all I needed to hear was actually his apology already. Yeah. I guess it was a good thing I never sent the message lah. When just now you shared the story about how kids like respond.
Yeah.
I think I just wanted him to say something, but he never. So I feel like when I was writing the
You were
message,
hoping
right?
for a reaction.
Yeah, I was hoping like just say something. Like you never say something. All this is like I want you to address it, right?
On this writing things down,
Yeah.
I think it's not bad in a sense whereby if you all feel like you are not able to regulate your emotion in heat of the moment, right? Even in that and my disagreement, I feel like there's no point we address anything at that moment because I also really needed to go.
That's why I said go home.
I stay and finish the work. That's what happened. He played magic card.
Okay, calm down.
What happened was I wrote down the sequence of all events and then I wrote down what I wanted to say. Then I will relook at it and see that were there fighting words to make sure that I don't say anything I regret.
To be honest, I also drafted out my own text. I told him straight away, John, I haven't read your message yet, but this is my text first. So don't read it as though I'm replying to what you said. So I had to send that first.
So you say your piece lah.
Yeah. One thing, right, that I'm very proud of is that one that I mentioned already, every time we have a conflict, literally the next day, right, it never boils over. Like we are back into the most efficient like dynamic that we can be. And also I would like to think we've never repeated conflicts. Like there may be similar things which is like a misunderstanding, maybe a choice of words, whatever, but we've never repeated conflicts. Like
We have this very weird understanding that if after we fight about it, right, and then he still repeats, right, means that's his pattern, deal with it.
yeah, you mentioned that when you tried to have that conversation with your family, it ended up being a shit show. What was it and why did it become a shit show? Do you identify what you would change so that it wasn't going to be a shit show anymore?
It's because I don't know all this type of technique. So mine is like, hey, you, why you like that?
Oh, you said this?
No lah, I start off
How can you be avoidant the whole life and then that's the first thing you say?
That is the problem. Avoidant, but then when I burst, it's like rabak. Obviously, it doesn't start that way. Like I bring up a problem. Let's say the person is very triggering to me, right? So then if I try to bring up something and then I just keep getting triggered by their responses, right? Then it will just build up. Then at that point of time, you also feel like you're trying to do something right.
Right.
You know? So then when this person like don't seem to be cooperating, right? When like you feel like they are the problem, right? Then trigger already. After that, I just explode. Yeah, very aggressive.
Yeah.
So those are when you're saying to hurt.
Yeah, that's why. But it's just completely, I lose control, right? Then the worst part is that, right, after those type of things happen, right, it just goes quiet and it's just like, that never happened.
Actually, that never happened. Like the
I'd
argument
rather
never
get kicked
happened
out of
or
the
what?
house and know that there is a emotion.
Oh, you want a reaction
Then
back?
to
Even
just
more
like,
frustrating.
you know what, let's pretend.
Right. I see that.
So as someone who has been an avoidant household and you recognize it, what tips do you have for people who are in similar situations then?
Sort it out before you get into a relationship because it
Oh.
bleeds into all your other relationships also.
Like,
and into
like
your
a romantic
life.
relationship.
Yeah.
My family is not avoidant. Super not avoidant. Like something happened, you
Just say.
you just say, or like when me and my sisters fight, right, my parents will just go inside the room, you'll resolve, then you'll come out, then close the door, that kind.
Oh.
Like you must resolve one. Then
Right.
like they will test you after that whether you resolve. Hug.
That's
Play with your
rubber.
ego because if you damn angry, right,
Yeah.
you cannot do properly one, you know.
Yeah.
But you can still be upset. Then you can hug each other because your mom told you to. But it's not a matter of like a, you know, it's like I hug because I don't want to hug now. It's not because I hug because I have disdain for this person.
Yeah.
And the look is different. And I think my parents understand that. And I think one thing my family did, which was a conversation that Dan and I had also, is that we know when a conversation is about to get difficult, right? But we always make sure that there is enough room for their person to get off the stage amicably. That outs, I think, is extremely important. For example, if today you made a very bad judgment call on the content, I won't tell you, why did you make this call?
Why cannot?
No,
Exactly.
exactly. You immediately get
Yeah.
defensive about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I don't like to make this content. I would give you an out in a sense whereby, how come this was done this way? Then I would just like, oh, okay. I thought, so in my point of view, I thought we were done this way. Are you trying to try something new?
Yeah.
So that you can say yes, you
Yeah.
are trying something or you were following a hunch.
Right.
But now I have reminded you that I would like this alignment.
Yep.
You know, and that out is extremely important.
Yeah.
Oh, I got here before, I think.
It's a very important skill. Like I feel like sometimes I cannot.
No, but so what was surprising, and I feel less of an adult, right, was that I think this concept was relatively new to me.
Yeah.
Like I've never known this concept at all. Like to
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
it's like you're either right or wrong. So get the last word in if you think you're right, and if you're wrong, say sorry.
Yeah.
You know? very difficult to be able to do it in the moment. But I think you constantly remind yourself and practice.
No, this usually is you get time to think about it before the conflict happens. Like just now when you ask, have you ever had to confront your family for something they did like way past, right? What came to mind was that I have with my dad. But the out I gave him, right, makes him feel like he just has to acknowledge that this is my true wrong. So like my father, the thing I want to confront him is that because my sister always say that, I always give my father a hard time. Like I'm very strict with my father and stuff like that. And to me, it's like my father helped me to a super crazy standard and he loved my sisters more than me. It was so obvious to the point that my mother had to console me. It's like, as a child one, you know. But then I think about it, the whole time I understood why I was a second grade citizen to him because compared to my sisters, I was dog shit. They just healthier, they study better, they're so well mannered. They never go police station before, they never fight before. The only time the teacher caught my second sister for violence because she threw a chair. That was the biggest thing she did. So why did you throw a chair at your classmate? Because they say my mother or because they say my sister. And that was verifiable. So it's like, okay, she was protecting family. Me like, then me, go handcuff, go police station, parents had to come bail me out. It's shag. Yeah, so they treat me like shit. I kind of get it. Am I favorite child material? Like, no.
So you confronted your dad about this?
I brought it up before. Like, this is why I don't have the relationship with you that I have with mom.
Right.
Yeah, I just kind of want you to know that, let's also acknowledge that you did treat me like shit.
What were you expecting when you wanted to bring it up?
Nothing. I just kind of want to be consistent because I feel like every day I try to be the best version of me. And if you don't get the best version of me, you think I'm trying to be an asshole to you. But it's not directed at you. I'm trying to be best version of me to the people I want to have the best version of me. I don't treat you worse.
But then what's wrong with just continuing to live your life the way you do?
Because I don't want him to see the double standard that I have with my mom and him. I love my dad, okay? We have a good relationship now. But what I have with my mom is 100 million more.
So how did he respond to when you said it?
Because I gave him something to latch on and then he can just get to hear my side and then he will just talk about, yeah, it was really quite difficult to raise you. Or like, the police station really gave us the like scare when I got the phone, then the person said this is Bedok HQ. Then we just go into that story. But I got to say my piece and he understands why now. But then you give that person out, then you don't force that person into that corner. Yeah. If I give some tips on the conflict resolution, right? When we go into a conflict, usually you are hoping to go your way, which means that person say you are right, I'm wrong. Or that person's way, which is the opposite. Then there's always the third way. The whole essence of it is leave some ambiguity in the third way, set up the third way halfway and leave some ambiguity for them to complete the third way. In that way, you get your message across. You get to say what you want to say or even what you want to insinuate. But then you leave them a third way as a setup and then let them fill in the blank a little bit and trust that the message has gotten through.
And I also want to add that like the whole situation with my avoidant household and all kind of stuff, right? I don't blame my parents for it. I like the circumstances are based on their upbringing, their own experiences, their life, right? But the thing that I am working on or trying to work towards is being able to address it. Like similar to how like she write the letter, all kind of stuff, right? So like I want to be able to work towards being able to talk about these things.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. See you in the next one.
Bye-bye!
So there is this Twitter page, not me, called Autism Today or something like that. And they like to use Elon Musk as their mascot. He's like our hero. And then I think there's a video of like both Elon Musk and Baron Trump. And like Elon Musk was like the whole time he's just like this. And then Baron Trump was just like this and said, this is the two people on the different extremes of the spectrum. Yeah, so like they use him as a mascot, but I think it was never confirmed. I know Elon Musk has Asperger's syndrome, but I don't think it's the same thing. Yeah.